So open up our curtain wall practice example, or you can just make a little square box and change the wall type there. So I'm going to zoom in and click on my bottom wall, and I'm going to change it to be exterior glazing. So I go up in my properties, scroll all the way down, and change it to curtain wall exterior glazing. Once I do that, I'm going to go to my south elevation so I can view my elevation. And you'll notice an exterior glazing wall gives you grid lines. So if I hover over these little dotted lines, that's my grid lines to put my mullions on. Mullions are separators of glass. So I'm going to start putting in my mullions. The way I do that is go to Architecture tab, click on Mullion, and then I have 3 options up here of ways to put in mullions. So I'm going to do grid line. You always want to have mullions wrap around all 4 sides of your wall. Very, very important. Then you could do a grid line segment if you wanted, just this part and this part. So maybe I'm making more of like an interesting design out of my mullions. You can use grid line segment, or if I want all my grid lines to have a mullion, I can just use that one. So that's how to make mullions. Alright, so now we're going to go back to level 1 and go to our next wall and click on that and do curtain wall 1. So go all the way down, change it to curtain wall 1. And then we're going to go back to our south elevation and we're going to zoom in on that. So now you'll notice with a curtain wall 1, you don't have any grid lines, no mullions, nothing's given to you. So if you want a plain slate to start working on, this is your best bet to choose this one. So we first need to add our grid in. So I'm going to go to Architecture tab and click on Curtain Grid. And then if I hover over to the top, you'll notice I'll get vertical mullion or grid lines. And if I hover over the side, that's when I'll get my horizontal grid. Hit Escape when you're done. If you need to change specifically where a grid line is, just click on it. Dimensions will pop up, and then you can move those to be exactly where you want them. Same thing with my vertical ones. Maybe I want everything like 5 feet away. And click on this one and make it 5 feet. So 5 feet, 5 inches. Okay? So you can click on them and change your grid line. Then I'll go to Architecture tab, click on Mullion, and then add in my mullions. So I can choose to use any 3 of those depending on what you want to do. Maybe I just want these ones and this one. So then you can select that however you choose to. Alright, let's go to our last and final type of wall, which is storefront. So if I click at the bottom, go over to my properties, go all the way down and change it to storefront, you will notice once you go to your south elevation that all the mullions are already created for you. So whatever shape wall you have, it'll just make a grid system for you. So if you want to change that grid, so say like, okay, I like this, but maybe I want them all to be even, so don't make a smaller glass here when these should be bigger. What you can do is hover over a mullion and hit tab on your keyboard, and it's going to start selecting things that are nearby. So as soon as it gets my grid line, I can click on it, and then all I have to do here is unpush pin it. So if you ever see a push pin, you got to unpush pin it, and that unlocks it and allows you to move it. So I'll change it to 5 feet. I'll do the same thing down here. So hover, click tab until I get my grid line, on push pin, and change it to 5 feet. You can also delete mullions in the same way. So if I click on a mullion, on push pin it, I can then delete it. Okay, so let's like add a door right here. So if I want this thing that I want to show you, so let's make this realistic view. This is all glass right now, and the mullions are like an aluminum. You can change your mullions. So if I click on one and go to Edit Type, you can change the material right here. So if you don't want it to be aluminum or darker metal or something like that, you can change that. You can also change the glass to be something solid. So if I hover and hit Tab on a pane of glass and unpush pin it, you can go over to your properties and change it to be a solid material. Where is that? It's like down there, but it's not letting me get there. It's giving me issues right now. Give me a second. So again, grab that panel. Once you have the panel you want, you can unpush pin it and then go down here. If it's not letting you scroll down, there you go. Now it's popped up. So now you can change your system panel to be solid, and that will make it a solid material. You can go to Edit Type then and change that material to be concrete, metal, whatever you want it to be. So it'll be anything but glass, and you can see it's solid.